With just a few euros in ad spend, I went from 0 sales completely to orders flying in. But what happened next nearly destroyed the whole e-commerce journey for me entirely. So in the last video, I showed you guys exactly how I started my e-commerce store, from setting up the Shopify store and then turning on the Facebook ads that I had running during the day. Then I went to sleep and hoped for the best. Then suddenly, I woke up to my very first sale. Quite literally, actually. Roll the clip and please ignore my hair.
I've just spent about, I will just refresh real quick, €3.90 and I got my first sale. I can't freaking believe this. Let's go!
On the first day, I had spent only just 4 euros in ad spend, but that resulted in one sale of 50 euros, which practically resulted in a really high ROAS rate of 12.8. Now in the e-commerce space, that is a really high number. It basically calculates the return on ad spend, hence the name ROAS. Now with that momentum, I had assumed that tomorrow I would get so many sales and nothing. No sales whatsoever. And at this point, I wanted to quit everything and everything looked really bad. I spent another 5 euros, just wasted nothing. You see, just got nothing. How could I get nothing? And hope started to slip away until the next day we closed 3 sales. And the day after that, another 3 sales. And by the end of that week, I had closed 12 sales with about 500 euros in revenue, spending only about 70 euros in ads. Not bad at all for my first week and for my first store. But here's the thing, that 500 euros was not all profit, of course. I still needed to actually fulfill these orders, and this is at the point where it actually became pretty stressful. Now for this specific store, I wasn't going to be doing the usual way of drop shipping directly from China to the customers here in Malta. I decided to actually bring the products from China to my house and then self-deliver the products to the customers. Sounds like I was defeating the whole purpose of dropshipping. Well, I know, I was. And the main reason was...
So the best way to approach it is by actually buying stock. Yes, it's going to defeat the whole purpose of dropshipping, but you're still going to approach it the same way. You're still going to be testing out the product without ordering any stock. And when you get proof of validation that the product is actually selling, you're going to get stock in hand, because Maltese people aren't going to wait for 3-4 weeks for the product to get delivered. Let's say, for example, people are going to call you complaining, where's my order? I ordered it last week, it's been 2 weeks. All you have to do, call them back. Hi, due to high volume of orders, right now we are out of stock. Here's a 10% off discount code. 99.9%, all of them are going to say it's completely fine.
Customers here in Malta, knowing that they will be ordering from a Maltese brand, will not be expecting deliveries taking up to 6, 8, even 10 business days. So to differentiate myself from these other dropshipping sites and to show authenticity and to reassure the customers that it would actually arrive, I was offering 24 to 48 hour delivery times. So to make that happen, after getting consistent sales, I ordered the products straight from China to my house from my supplier. But not having stock meant that I was gonna be receiving a bunch of emails.
What the heck is my order? Is my order shipped? Is my order arriving tomorrow?
Yeah, a lot of them. So to combat this issue, I picked up the phone and called each and every customer, explaining that we were out of stock, but I'd upgrade their essential oil to a bigger bottle for completely free. And just so you guys know, I was offering a free essential oil with the product as my offer. That way they felt reassured and nobody would complain. Win-win for the both of us. Now for about 2 weeks until the product had actually arrived, I kept doing this whole same strategy, calling customers, buying time, and letting the customers know that we'd be back in stock in about 2 weeks. Then finally the products arrived. Now, when they finally arrived, they had the usual packaging straight from China. And now once I had the opportunity that I was actually handling the product, this was my opportunity to actually brand the product there and then. So, given that I already had a thermal printer, as I used to flip video games online on eBay, I used it to print stickers of my logo, thank you stickers, and instructions on how to actually use the product. I would then insert these thank you stickers and a how-to instructions right into the box itself and add the stickers right outside of the packaging, making sure that before I send out the order, I would make sure that they have all of these stickers. And that made the product feel way more professional than how it was originally. Now, as you know, ordering from China sometimes results in boxes looking like they went into war. Quite literally. So to combat this, I ordered a bunch of these white boxes to then basically place the product inside instead, which resulted in a much better experience for the customer instead of sending packages like these. I would be waiting for people to send me an email at this point. Now, for actually delivering the products, at first I used to go door to door, literally delivering them myself. However, at a certain point, this was becoming a pain and it was not scalable and I was wasting so much time given that I actually do not drive. So then I worked with two of the biggest local courier companies here in Malta, and one of them actually offered cash on delivery. This was a massive selling point, and about 40% of the orders actually requested cash on delivery. Many people here still are not comfortable paying online, and giving them that cash on delivery option at checkout made the product way more attractive to this certain customer base and resulted, of course, into more higher conversions. And once again, given that I was actually getting the product here in Malta, delivering it myself, it was a no-brainer. Now, say I was doing this in the normal sense of dropshipping, of course, I wouldn't be able to do that. At this point, I had another call with Liam discussing about scaling. We turned off unprofitable ads and scaled slowly on the ad sets that were performing well. The way of scaling that I adopted was basically increasing budgets by about €2.50 or even €5 at certain ad sets, leaving them to test for about 3 to 7 days, and then re-evaluating the ads manager, seeing if the cost per acquisition actually increased, stayed the same, or actually decreased. And if the ad set, of course, resulted in a much higher cost per purchase, I would then either limit that budget back down or cut off the whole entire ad set, or ad for that matter. I was also consistently creating new ads, both image ads and video ads, and also incorporating the Maltese language. I also sat down to create a bunch more creatives, as the creatives I was using beforehand were basically dying down and most of the people had already seen these kinds of ads, so I had to refresh the ads to get potentially more eyeballs on the new ones. And yes, I made all my ads using Canva, and for video ads using CapCut. I use these two tools mainly not because I don't know how to use Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Premiere Pro, but to put it simply, it's just super simple to use and it just gets the job done. And after launching the new creatives and upping budgets and scaling incrementally, orders really started flying in. I started the store on the 11th of April, and by 11th of April to the end of April, the store had generated over €1,400 in revenue. And after accounting for expenses like Facebook ads, cost of the product itself, the returns, and all the Shopify fees, I was left with about €700 in profit before tax. By the end of May, I had hit over €4,200 in revenue. And after shipping, product costs, and all the other expenses, I was left with about €2,000 in profit before tax, which was almost the same as what I was making as a full-on self-employed web designer. But listen, it wasn't really all sunshine and rainbows, and at the peak of growth and scaling, as much as I was, I wanted to give up so many times. I felt overwhelmed. Balancing the store and balancing my work life and personal life was confolding to each other. Stock kept selling out completely. Customers were emailing about where their product was or if the product didn't work, and I spent hours emailing back to these customers and answering messages on Facebook. And there were days where I really just couldn't take it anymore. And I really wanted to shut everything down. You could go ahead and tell me that I was exaggerating, but at that point, I really wanted to quit everything and wanted to close everything down. And I was getting stressed multiple times, constantly checking if I had delivered that order or where that customer's order is, or if I had emailed that specific customer. It was all getting into my head. and packaging the orders and delivering them myself as well was all becoming super stressful. And I'll be quite honest, if it wasn't for Liam mentoring me and for my family being by my side helping me package the orders and for my girlfriend to encourage me to continue pursuing what I would love to do, which was at the end of the day having my own business and not being dependent on other people, eventually brought me down back to earth. And I reminded myself why I actually started this e-commerce store in the first place. And I go back at my desk and I continue to push forward. And that decision really paid off, as the next month in June became my most profitable month ever, with 7,700 euros in revenue, and after accounting for all the expenses and securing a deal with my supplier for a cheaper cost if I ordered multiple products at the same time, I secured a almost 4,000 euro profit before tax month. And that was incredible to me. Knowing that this business had not started 2 months before that, I just couldn't believe it. It was probably more than what my parents were making combined, and I had done that all in my bedroom. And finally ending the store in July with 5.7k in revenue and about 3.1k in profit for the final month. So was the store basically all for nothing? Absolutely not. I wanted to test out the waters here locally firstly, building my confidence, and learn how Shopify, meta ads, doing product research actually works. As at the end of the day, these same strategies will work regardless if it's international or if I was doing it here locally again. And now that I have the experience, the systems in place, and the capital to actually give it a fair shot, I wanted to apply what I learned for this e-commerce store and apply it to an international scale. And that is the purpose for this channel, to document my whole journey dropshipping, making it online. And the first part of this journey was to actually start somewhere. So if you want to stick around and continue to see my journey going into internationally, testing products, seeing me fail, and seeing my wins, make sure to subscribe, tap the bell icon so you never miss an upload. This has been Matteo, and this was my very first real experience with e-commerce.